All right, so let's now bring in the President of the United States. He joins us this morning live from the White House after 14 events in 72 hours, finishing up in Grand Rapids, Michigan, just a few hours
15 minutes ago.
Mr. President, welcome back and welcome to Election Day.
Well, thank you very much, and I hope Dan is going to be okay. And Dan is a great guy. Dan is a great guy.
Yeah, he's going through some very important treatment, and I know he's going to pull through.
He'll be
Mr.
tough.
President,
He's so tough. He'll beat it.
Absolutely. When you spar for a living in a octagon to relax, you are a tough guy. Meanwhile, let's talk about you. You finish up in Michigan, a state that you won last time by just a few thousand votes. So you know every vote matters. How do you feel today in 2020 on Election Day as opposed to 2016?
Well, we feel very good. We have crowds that nobody's ever had before. I can say that. I think you can agree. It's been incredible. The crowds have been incredible, and nobody's ever had it before. And so I think that translates into a lot of votes, and we're going to see very soon. But we're getting very good response. We're getting a very early response to see, and I think we're doing incredible in Florida. I think we're doing, and you were just talking about the vote, the African-American vote, et cetera. I think we're doing really well with African-American vote. I think we're doing very, very well with the Hispanic vote. And it's been, it's been a great run, but it's been a great 3 weeks, incredible 3 weeks. I think since the debate, the second debate was very good. And I was also interviewed by Savannah Guthrie. And that was, I think, a very good. I mean, I wouldn't say she was exactly nice to me, but a lot of people watched it. A lot of people. It was a special, or I guess they would call it a town hall. It didn't feel like a town to me. But it was a very good debate, or interview, I guess people say.
Right.
But the debate, the second debate in particular, I think was something that worked out very well. And then we did we got back. We're lucky we got it back because for a period of time we did not think we were going to get these big rallies back, and we got them back, and they were amazing. I mean, they were amazing, and you add it all together, and I think we really took off.
Well, Mr. President, it is great to have you on the show. I'm sure you only got about 15 minutes worth of sleep last night, so thanks for calling in. Now,
this has been a very special show for me. I've liked it from day one. We've had a great relationship, and you have a great show. So it's my honor.
Well, thank you very much. And we are honored because you selected our show to be the first TV interview you did as president. So it's great that you would join us today as well. I know that the Trump team has worked the last 4 years in the RNC to build a network of people who you registered and who could get out the vote, especially for today. And so it all comes down to that. But for the person who is undecided on this Election Day morning, and let's say they're trying to decide between you and Joe Biden, but they've had a rough year. The pandemic has been tough on everybody. Maybe somebody in their family has lost a job. Maybe they're worried about their health care. What do you say to that person to say, go, give me another 4 years. Let's not switch horses right now?
Well, it's, become pretty standard. We've built the greatest economy in the world. It was horribly interrupted by something that should have never happened. Came in from China, the plague from China, horrible situation. And we had to shut it down, and we had to learn about it. We had to shut it down, and we did the right thing. We saved 2 million people. We saved a lot of people. The original motto was 2.2 million people. And so if you use that model, that was a main model. You use that model, we saved 2 million people, and now we're building it back up again. And we had the best economy. We had the best. Nobody had ever seen anything like it. And now what happens is we build it up again, and we are doing it at a record clip. You saw the 33.1 on Thursday. That's the biggest number we've ever had, GDP. And we're on a shape to build this up to a level that nobody's ever seen anything like it. I really think that we're going to end up with an economy that will be better than last year, and last year was a record. Last year was the best economy we've had. So we have a chance to build something that will be fantastic. Now, in addition to that, we are doing very well, and I say rounding the corner. Some people don't like that phrase, but I use that phrase. We're coming out with vaccines, the likes of which nobody's ever seen before. We have many companies. We have 3 main companies, but we have many companies coming out with them. They're going to be activated very quickly, distributed and activated very quickly. And that will be that. It's going to be, we will, tame originally, but ultimately get rid of the China plague. You see what's happening in Europe. It's a terrible thing. It's a very terrible thing. This is a horrible disease. We have learned about it. It affects the elderly. I tell the story about Barron Trump. He had it for about 2 seconds. It just went through him and it's gone. And the immune system on children, that's right. You got to get the children back to work, children back to school. You have to get the people. They have to go to work. We have to open up our states, and that'll happen. And I think now, politically, that will happen because you have the date, and politically, it will happen. But we have a very interesting. I mean, today's going to be a very interesting day. It'll be a day that I had this day once before, and it worked out very well. And this day is going to be something that's going to be very important and very, very special, I think.
Well, Mr. President, you've got Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. They're crisscrossing Pennsylvania. They're going back out there. I don't know if that means they're worried. I want to get your take on that. And also, what are your plans today? Because I know you said yesterday, we've got a lot of big surprises today. What are those surprises?
So I'm doing a big series of phone calls and to some really good people. You're the first one, by the way. But I'm doing a big series of calls. And in doing the calls, I'm going to be talking to some people that really, that have been very important, both to me important, some very important calls and some people that have been very loyal to me over the years. I like those people too. Even if they reach about 15 people, that's okay with me. And
you mean
I'm
media
also going to
interviews?
probably go over to Virginia. We have a headquarters in Virginia just to say thank you to all of the people. And that would be probably around 10:30 or so. I noticed that Biden went out, and I think he's campaigning a little because he's worried. We've seen tremendous swing changes. We've seen, actually, in the last 3 days, this reminds me, I hope it reminds me of 4 years ago. Tremendous changes have taken place over the last week. Tremendous. And
like what?
We think we're winning Texas very big. We think we're winning Florida very big. We think we're winning Arizona very big. I think we're going to do very well in North Carolina. I think we're going to do very well in Pennsylvania. We think we're doing very well everywhere. And it's more than thinking. We're seeing trends.
Right.
And so you can tell this isn't just like taking a poll. This is based on trends. And we think we're doing very well in states. A lot of states, really. A lot of states.
I think the country respects somebody that was willing to work to get something, and I think no one doubts your work ethic. What you've done is almost impossible. Those 5 events yesterday, the 14 events in 72 hours, I can't imagine anyone else doing it, and standing up and then being on for 2 hours in front of 25,000 people. I don't think even your biggest detractor would not be in awe of that. But I was kind of shocked to see this quote from Jen O'Malley with the Biden campaign when she was asked on a conference call about the results tonight. She said, under no scenario will Donald Trump be declared a victor on election night, and we think that that's really fundamental to how we want to approach tomorrow, meaning today. How do you take that statement?
Well, that was a weird quote. I agree with you. That was a very weird quote, and I don't know what she meant, except maybe she's talking about the very strange decision made by the U.S. Supreme Court that allows extra time and a lot of other things, frankly, but it allows extra time and it allows for chaos, frankly. And so maybe she's talking about that. Maybe you can blow out Pennsylvania so you don't have
Pennsylvania,
to go
North
through
Carolina.
I cannot imagine what that quote meant. That was a strange quote.
It doesn't intimidate you?
No, I think gotten to a point we don't get too intimidated. I have no idea who she is. She has
Right.
something to do with this
So-
campaign, I guess. But no, it was a strange quote. It was not a smart quote either, I think.
So, Mr. President, the analysis of what they're talking about and some of the things you've said, they are suggesting that you may declare victory if the early numbers favor you. At what point will you declare victory?
When there's victory, if there's victory, I think we'll have victory. I think the polls are, suppression polls, and I think we'll have victory, but only when there's victory. I mean, there's no reason to play games, and I think we'll have victory. I think I look at it as being a very, a very solid chance at winning. I don't know what the chances are. I don't know how they rate the chances, but I think we have a very solid chance of winning. And I think a lot of that has to do with the tremendous crowd size. But I mean, a small event. There was no small event. Every place, no matter where we went, were
Minnesota.
the largest. Your friend Tucker did something on it last night. I don't know if you got to see it, but he sort of looked at. He said he was looking at the internet or whatever, and he's looking at these massive crowds like he's never seen before, and in areas that were, great areas. Frankly, as far as I'm concerned, these are great people. These are like the heart and soul of our country. And so Tucker, we did a piece on it last night on these incredible crowds, these massive crowds. It hasn't taken place ever in the history of our country, what we've done in terms of crowd size and every, I do, like, I really did 6 yesterday because the one from the day before went till 2 a.m. So then I got up and did one at 8. So
I know.
if I include the one that lasted till 2 a.m, that was 6 of them. And these aren't like speeches. These are big. These are massive rallies. These are really big, where you have 30, 40,000. We had a 51,000 people, and they're built in, largely in airports, always open, because of the corona. But they're built in airports because we have the room. And sometimes the airport wasn't big enough. It was crazy. And if that's any indication, because to me that's like the ultimate poll. That's better than somebody that said he interviewed 213 people, and then they send you a check for $1 million, right? We don't do that. But I think it's the ultimate poll. And it's been, honestly, it's been so much fun for me. There's so much love in those rallies. Nobody's seen anything like it. They even say, on many of them, "We love you, we love you, we love you." They're screaming, "We love you." And I don't think it's ever happened before. I've never heard
Mr.
that
President,
term. People like Ronald
Mr.
Reagan,
President,
but that never happened to him. And the media is looking for it to have happened because they like to show that I wasn't the first. But nobody's ever seen that happen. There's tremendous spirit. And there's something else. They call them organic, where they just spring up. Thousands of cars that stretch for 98 miles, tractors, thousands of tractors and farms in Iowa,
boats,
different places. And you've seen the boats. The boats are, 6,000 boats in a lake, and we're all going for records. It's been incredible, actually, incredible.
Pardon my interruption a couple of times. I wanted to comment, to get your comment about the fact that last night, I think it was at your last rally in Michigan, when the crowd was going, "We love you, we love you," and then you said, "Don't make me cry." Were you a little emotional right then, because that could have been the last rally of your political life?
Well, no, I was kidding, actually, but there is a little emotion. But I said, but I've said that a few times, actually. When I say, "Don't make me cry, don't make me cry," you'll make me cry, and that would be very bad for my image as president. And I kid. So I was actually kidding. I do.
So
I do
you
that
have never cried as president?
I do that, and then I take my fingers and I put them under my eye. Don't make me cry. But I do that kiddingly. But but it is emotional. It's incredible. It's tremendous love. Nobody's ever seen it before. I'll bet you've never heard of it before.
You know,
And it
and when they
happens
say
at
that they
every
love
rally.
you, and when they say they love you, I like how you say, well, I love you too. Because when you love someone, that's always nice to hear back. But what has it been like? Have you loved the job, or has it been worth it because you've been under so much attack?
Well, it's been mean. It's been, you've dealt with horrible people like Shifty Schiff and Crazy Nancy and Crying Chuck Schumer. You deal with some horrible people. People say, who is the hardest? You know, friends of mine from the past, really, they say, president, because they all call me president. They used to call me Donald, now they call me president, which is terrible. It's hard to have friends because they react differently to me now than they used to. You know, in the old days, hey, let's go to dinner, Don. Now it's Mr. President. Gee, could we somehow get together someday? You know, and I'm saying the changes, it's sort of stupid. But well, you three are friends, okay? But it is a very different thing. But you deal with people that are very deceptive, but they'll go, Mr. President, tell me, who's the country that's most difficult to deal with? Is it Russia? Is it China? Is it North Korea? Sir, is it North Korea? And I go, no, well, by far, the most difficult country to deal with is the U.S. It's not even close. And they all say, you got to be kidding. And I say, no, I'm actually probably not kidding. No, we have very, very deceptive people. We have some people that, you know, I think they're sick in some ways, like an Adam Schiff. I think Adam Schiff is a sick person. And we deal with them, you know, we just deal with them. But it's a shame. It's a shame. But,
Right.
you know, the inner workings of the U.S. very, very difficult. Unless you want to sit there and do nothing, or unless you want to accede to doing everything they want to do. And we don't want to do that.
Mr. President, I know you've said
fired.
on the stump before, right, Mr. President, I know you've said on the stump before, I wouldn't have gotten into this job or ran for this job if the previous administration wasn't, in your words, so bad. And some have said that Barack Obama's come out to be the bad cop, to go after you. One of the things he said last night was he's going around spreading COVID like he's a carrier because he cares more about having these big crowds than he does keeping people safe. Do you want to respond to the former president?
Well, fortunately, he's drawing flies. He's not getting anybody to go listen to him too much. Actually, Fox puts him on more than anybody else, which is sort of shocking to me because Fox has changed a lot. And somebody said, what's the biggest difference between this and 4 years ago? And I say Fox. It's much different. You still have great people.
But
You're three of them.
But you know, Mr. President, can I just say one thing? What they try to do with Fox,
in terms of
but we just want to show both. Unlike the other networks, they were trying to show both sides. So, hey, here's President Trump live, here's Joe Biden live. Because we feel it's a responsibility to sell.
We report, they decide.
Yeah,
right.
so I don't think it's an endorsement of anybody. But go ahead. When President Obama speaks, does he get under your skin? They say
in the old days,
that he's the reason.
You know, they wouldn't put Sleepy Joe Biden on every time he opened his mouth. You know, they had other networks for that, frankly. And it was run, you know, it's a much different operation. I'm just telling you, it's much different. And, you know, and you have great people when you have Sean and you have Laura and you know, yourselves, and you have some incredible
Ainsley.
people.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, Tucker's been great. I think you really have incredible people, but it's much different. I could name some of your side players, and you'll interview. You had a period of time. I think you're still doing it, but you had Democrats on more than you had Republicans. And look, it's different. You know, I'm not complaining. I'm just telling people it's one of the biggest differences of this season compared to last. I think this season we have much more. Despite that, and this is hard to believe, I think we've done actually much better. We obviously ran a good campaign. It was, you know, sort of a miracle campaign. But we have a record to go on. We have done a lot. You know, when you look at the tax cuts and you look at the regulation cuts, biggest in history. You look at all of the things that we've done. Space Force. We rebuilt the military. We rebuilt the entire military. It was a mess. And
Mr. President, the other thing is,
you know, we just got a 91% approval rating by the vets. But the vets have been really treated badly for a long period of time. And We got accountability done for the vets, which nobody thought could be done. People treat them badly; they get fired. You couldn't get people out. The vets lived in hell. They just lived in hell, and you couldn't get them out. So I mean, what we've done, and so many other things. The wall is going to be completed within a very short period of time. We're over 410 miles. We're doing 10 miles a week, and it's really an incredible. It's a system exactly like Border Patrol wanted. It's been really amazing. And it's had a big impact because you see, I mean, you announced we have the best numbers that we've ever had in the southern border. We did so many, like Right to Try. We did Right to Try. It's not a smaller thing. It's a big thing. They've been trying to do it for many years. So if you're terminally ill, and we have a great drug at the FDA, but it's not going to be approved for another 2 years, but you're terminally ill, we now can get that drug and use it for somebody who's terminally ill. We worked a system that works out great. You sign a document, you take away liability from the companies and from the country itself.
Right.
If people have Right to Try, and instead of going all over the world or going home and dying, they can, do this. They've been trying to do that for 50 years. They were never able to get it worked out.
Sure.
We moved the embassy, and think of it.
Mr. President, one of your messages.
Every president wanted to do that. Every president wanted to do that. Jerusalem becoming the capital. They all wanted to do it, but I understand why they didn't, because there was tremendous pressure once you got in not to do it from other countries. Tremendous pressure, like you haven't seen before. But I did it. Yep. I got it done. But we've done more than. I have a list. You could read it. You could read it for a day. So we've done a lot. Very proud of it. It's great for the country.
Mr. President, one of the things on your stump speech you talk about is Joe Biden's not going to be moderate. If he is moderate, he's going to have to give in to his left flank. I think we have proof of that from a Zoom call that Bernie Sanders did with the squad. Listen to his agenda once if Biden is indeed elected, what's going to happen? Listen.
We understand that electing Biden is not the end all. It is the beginning. Okay? And I think as the result of the work that all of you have done, Biden's proposals in this campaign are a lot stronger than they were in the primary, and his proposals are stronger. Do they go as far as we would want? No, they don't. And we're not giving up on our agenda. But you know and I know that at the end of the day, the only way that we're going to provide quality care to every man, woman, and child in an affordable way is through Medicare for all. And we ain't giving up on that struggle. All right? We're going to introduce Medicare for all. We organize our people to make sure that Biden becomes the most progressive president.
Did he just reveal the Biden agenda?
Well, I think it's very disrespectful to Biden, actually. I think it's a terribly disrespectful phone call to make. If you gave me that, I would have put it up on the board. We've been doing that half the last, probably 15 rallies. I put up a board, and we put up a lot of things. We put up how he said fracking, and then he said, no fracking. He came out and said there will be no fracking, and then he went out and did the opposite. Once he reached Pennsylvania and learned it's 1 million jobs and it's tremendous money, and all of a sudden he changes his mind. Was never hit by the press, was never asked about it. It's ridiculous. But, I did that, and we put things like that up on the board. Had you had this, whatever it is, Zoom, I would have put that up in the board gladly. This shows tremendous disrespect for Biden. It shows exactly what I was saying, that he's not going to be running the group, and that group of people is probably close to impossible to run. That's I call it the AOC plus 3. That's a tough group to run, and they would take the country into a terrible place. But Joe's going to have a hard time. He's not going to be able to handle them. I mean, look, Joe is having a very hard time. Joe Biden is not prime time. He's not, and he never was, actually, but he's not prime time. And he's put in a very hard position when you see all of the gaps and all of the problems. This is something that he shouldn't be. When he says he's a proud Democrat running for the U.S. Senate, and, at first I thought he was joking, but he wasn't joking. He's done that a number of times. He's called his location where he was, he's in Ohio, and he says, I'm in Iowa. It's great to be with the people of Iowa. And they start screaming, no, you're in Ohio. and that's happened many, many times. And that's something you can't let happen. That will be the end of the speech. There's nothing you can do to recover. So it's a tough thing for him. He shouldn't be. Frankly, he should not be in this position.
Well, we have invited the former vice president to be on the show, I think, every day for the last.
Well, let me check, Steve.
He has never
Nothing yet.
He has never taken us up. Mr. President, you referred to the expression "up on the board" a couple of times. We're in New Jersey, looking out at the skyline of Manhattan that you helped build with so many of your Trump Tower skyscrapers and whatnot.
Right.
I know you have not been in Midtown Manhattan in the last 72 hours, but you would not recognize it because most stores and businesses and apartment buildings and things like that are boarded up on the first level because they are so afraid that there could be rioting or looting or violence if certain people don't like the way the election turns out. And a lot of people have suggested that the tell would be if Donald Trump wins, there could be rioting or looting or things like that. Of course, I know you have said that you would try to put a stop to it. But nonetheless, how do you feel about how we got to this point where if you're reelected, there could be rioting and looting?
Well, I tell you, I think it's very sad. And part of the reason is it'll all be in Democrat cities, Democrat-run cities. It's going to be in Chicago, New York, and Portland, and Oakland, and different places, Baltimore. And that's because of weak leadership, weak leadership. And my side is a very strong side if they wanted to, but they don't like doing that. They're proud of our country. They don't want to hurt our country. But the other side is radicalized Antifa. And frankly, if you let people know that there will be hell to pay, you wouldn't have any problem. But they don't do that. They have the cops stand back and watch looters walk washing machines and televisions out of stores. It's a shame to watch it. I watched what happened in Philadelphia. I looked at that, and you see the cops stand by. And, they're good cops. The Philadelphia cops are good cops. They don't want to stand back, but they're told to stand back. And these kids and wise guys and anarchists, agitators, looters and rioters, I mean, that's what they are. When they see weakness, they go for it. It's a shame. No reason for it. When the statues were being affected so badly, when they were knocking down statues, I took an old law. Basically, I modernized a very powerful old law, and you get 10 years in jail if you knock down a statue. And since that time, and now this is on a federal basis, cities could do the same thing. We could reinstitute it for cities if asked. But since that time, it just stopped. I mean, it just totally stopped. Because people would say, 10 years is just too much. They would be able to stop this so easily by being tough, frankly, by not allowing
we hope it doesn't happen.
thugs to run around and break windows. I think it's very sad when stores are boarded up. I understand why they do it, because a piece of glass is very expensive, and plywood doesn't cost much. They probably have it from years ago, from past problems. But it's a very sad thing.
Mr. President, I want to bring something up, and I believe this is going to be our last question. I don't think we have. I think we're being told this is the last question.
You've got to go.
Yeah. So let's say Biden wins. Let's say they get those 3 seats in the Senate, and let's say they keep the House, and then they pack the court. What's at stake for this country?
Our country could never be the same country if they win, because they're radicalized left. Joe Biden will never call the shots, and if he does, he's not going to be there very long. He's got a vice president who's further left than Bernie Sanders, who is not a particularly good person. And she would be, I think, a terrible first representative. If she became the first woman president, I think it would be a terrible thing for our country. I think it would be a terrible thing for women. I look forward to the first woman president, but I wouldn't look forward to her being that person. I think it would be a very bad thing. And I think you'd have a country that would become a socialist country. If they packed the courts, that would be a terrible thing. And terrible thing. And yet the Supreme Court has given us very bad decisions. Everyone says, oh, Trump has 3 people. Now, Amy didn't take part because she just got there. I understand that. But this decision on Pennsylvania was a horrible decision. There's just no reason to go beyond the date.
Right.
People should put their ballots in early. You don't have to wait till the end. Why are they waiting till the end? Let the people, they have it for a long time. They put their ballots in early, and there's plenty of time to count it, tabulate it, and do it through a normal course. If they come late or after the fact, and then they give them all this time. So we're going to be waiting, and it's really Pennsylvania, but you could say others may be included in that. We'll have to find out. We'll find out.
Mr. President,
but it's a very dangerous thing to be waiting, and we're waiting this tremendous. It's not fair to the people of Pennsylvania, but it's not fair to the people of this country. And I wouldn't say they are outstanding representatives. If you look at Philadelphia, the amount of horror that's gone on there during elections, Philadelphia has been a disaster as far as I'm concerned. Not everybody will say it. They don't like saying it. Philadelphia will be a disaster.
Right.
And it's like we're putting these people in the honor system, but there's no reason for doing this, and it actually delays the election. I'd like to find out on November 3rd, the end of the evening, or late into the morning, whenever, who won the election. And that doesn't allow that to happen unless there's a blowout, or unless you don't need Pennsylvania. Now, it's very likely Pennsylvania is a very important state. I think we're going to win Pennsylvania. We have very good numbers on Pennsylvania.
Mr.
Really
President,
but I think we're going to win
the
it.
White
But
House
I think it'd be nice to have. You want to have a win on November 3rd, or the morning going along beyond 12 o'clock.
That would be great.
It's a terrible thing they've done, and it's a very dangerous decision they've made.
Mr. President, the White House team is telling us you've got to go, but exit question. And the magic number is 270 electoral college votes. You've got a number in your head. We're going to write it down right now. You say you're going to win with how many electoral college votes?
So my number last time was 306. Remember they said, you and I had this conversation a long time ago, right? And you asked me this question, believe it. I don't know. I think you remember that. But I ended up with 306. That was good numbers, 223 to 306. And that was a big number. And I think that we will top it. I'll leave it at that. I think we'll top it. I think we'll get better.
306
People
plus 1.
appreciate the job we've done, and if you look at the numbers, and I see the futures are up. I'll tell you one thing. We have a headwind on the stock market because on the chance that Biden got in, you will have a stock market go down like you wouldn't believe. If he got in, and I see the markets projected to be up quite nicely today. And it was up yesterday very nicely because people are starting to think that I'm going to win. And the stock market will go. It's a real headwind having this because, it's always got everybody has a chance. But now they're looking at it, I think, differently than they were even 4 days ago. Now, we've made a lot of progress in the last four days. And I've also worked very hard. A lot of people said, how do you do that? I said, I do it because I have to do it. But it's been an honor, and there's been such love. It has been, and it's love on both sides. I mean, you have 30, 40,000 more people in this, big area, and you feel the love. It's so incredible. And that's what I'm telling you. Tucker did an unbelievable piece. He got it. He figured it out. Because it's never happened before in the history of our country. Never anything like this. When Biden goes and he has 20 or 30 people, that's not so different from a lot of other people. If Ronald Reagan came in to do a rally, because he was a popular guy, if he had 200 or 300 people, that's fine. That's like, anticipated. Usually they'd go to a ballroom and they'd have it in a ballroom. I'm coming in and we're having 45,000 people. You had to see the rally we had the other night in Miami. Ended at 1 o'clock in the morning. but people didn't leave
Yeah.
because they didn't want to leave. It's been
And Marco
it's
Rubio,
been
Marco Rubio
amazing.
did a
It's
great
really been
introduction on
amazing.
that. Right. Well, Mr. President, we thank you for opening up with us before you ran for president, while you were running for president, and when you won the presidency. And best of luck to getting 4 more years. We're going to find out soon, we hope. Thanks, Mr. President.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right.
Great.
So it's pretty awesome. Now let's bring in
That was
Paul.
pretty awesome.
Yeah.